Warren Dietel's become a great friend of mine, a great friend of our organization. And he runs a company that is now, what, 38 years old, 39?
Yes. 38.
Okay. And it was founded in Trinidad, is that right?
Yes, sir. That's
And so they actually started down there, and Mom and Dad brought it up here. And Warren, who worked for Disney too, and came back into the company in the early part of the 2000s. And he's going to share a wondrous story because over the last 15 years that you've been at the helm, the company has grown 400%, I believe.
Yes, 8 times.
And more than that.
8 times.
So it's really serious. He's learned what scaling means. He's learned what risk is. And he's going to share some of that too.
Thanks,
Look
Jeff.
forward to talking to you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, let's make sure we get back over to where we need to be. So first off, thanks for listening to me today. And I know I'm the guy separating you from your lunch. So hopefully we'll make this a little entertaining and have a little bit of fun. Because my life is really all about fun. I mean, really, we woke up this morning and I want to have a good time and enjoy myself. Pardon me? Oh, is that the deal? Oh, okay. Just like you didn't know you were speaking, I didn't know I was speaking.
That's the reason I showed up.
Oh. Well, you do know a guy now, so that's good. That's good. Oh, I'm not on? Okay, wait, I'm not on. Hold on. Let's make sure that I'm on here. Turn on, yeah. There we go. Now I am on. All right. So what in the world is a catering guy going to teach us about marketing and branding and all this kind of crazy stuff, right? I mean, well, first off, I'm marketing a company called Stuff Catering, which is kind of hokey. We really should be a smoke shop, but we're a catering company. The story behind the story behind that really is that my mom started the business as a pastry shop, and so it kind of evolved into what it is. And when I purchased the company back in '03, it just kind of derived what's there. But really my most important job in my life is really I'm dad to Tanner and husband to Melissa. We have a great relationship. We have so much fun together. We love to travel. We love to do great things, and I love all the wonderful things that I'm able to do as a result of the hard work that I put in. And I will tell you that I put in a lot of hard work. My business is very, very difficult. It is very, very complicated. I like to think of it as, we're almost starting. And on average, between our Orlando and our Tampa operation, 25 to 30 different new restaurants every day. We got about 2.5 to 3 hours to set them all up. They each have a different service style. They each have a different menu. They each have different expectations, different environmental factors impacting them. And what we do is really, really insanely hard as we put it together. So it's a great deal of fun. I'm very entrepreneurial at my core. I started my first business when I was 16 years old, and I won't go into the whole story behind that, but it was a car detailing business, became very successful with that, and worked for my folks for a while out of school, and then left the business and went to Disney, and that's where I feel like I picked up my PhD in business. I learned a tremendous amount from that experience and that time that I spent at Disney. I first had a job in international sales with the weddings business, representing that iconic brand globally, primarily in Asia and in Europe, but it was amazing, and I mean, I just didn't realize what a phenomenal, fantastic place this world is. Then came back at the end, and it was great being a cast member and or employee cast member, whatever you want to call it, for 5 years, and then the last year I spent working at the Disney Institute on the corporate business development side. So we brought corporate America, it's still around today, to have the ability to come in and benchmark against Disney's approach to leadership, people management, supply chain innovation, all those wonderful things. And I learned a tremendous amount that I bring back to the work every day. So I ended up going back to Puff in 2003 after a brief stint in a jewelry career, which we do need bourbon for me to talk about, and then ended up purchasing the company, put it all on the line, took the risk, lost my marriage, put my house on the mortgage. It was incredible what I did in order to get there, to be able to successfully acquire the company, but I bet on me. And I think that that's one of the things that I think has helped me to survive in business, to thrive in business, to continuously grow. It is that I just continue to fight every day. I work hard. This young man was asking me about getting some advice on how to start a business and how to get into it and what's the golden rule, and it's that. And it's incredible. I answered the question at the beginning. I made notes on my slides this morning, and it's one of my favorite Churchill speeches. It was something that I heard a long time ago, and I'm not a big historian or anything, but I just think that this one really just tells it the way that it is for business. It is success is not final, failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. And if you think about it, it's very simple, but it's really pretty profound, right? I mean, we all got to figure out a way to get up. We're all going to fall. We're all going to break. Something's going to happen, but it's what do you do? Having that tenacity to continue to fight and continue to keep things going. So our business has evolved a great deal. I mean, I think it's just important for you to understand a little bit of the backstory of me. For many years, people ask me all the time, well, who's your competition in business? And I would say, well, it's really the big convention centers. It's the big hotels. I want to go into business with them. I want to go, and that's who I want to go, but they're not going to really allow at the Orange County Convention Center for a Puff and Stuff Catering truck to roll up in the back docks. They got their own people to do that. So we created a business-to-business version of Puff and Stuff called Chef's Commissary in 2013. It's gone through multiple iterations of that business. We finally figured out who we are 5 years later. We still haven't made our first dollar, but we're cranking along and we're having really great sales, which is really fun. It's manufacturing, so it's different, and so we keep trying different things and we keep going. I believe in what we're doing, and I'm not smoking hopium. I know that it's going to be successful eventually. I just have to keep on fighting, so I'm continuing to go with that. Business has evolved a great deal. We expanded into Tampa in 2010, and I'm just very actively involved in our industry across the board. This is just some stuff on us. You've got access to them in the slides that are there if you want to check them out. Shows you a little bit about our work. You can follow those links, and there's some cool stuff there. Some neat parties that we've thrown. Now, what in the world marketing strategy and putting this together, and that's really the light that which this presentation has kind of really been put together on. And this presentation was mostly written by my marketing manager. We have an internal marketing team, and so we have a marketing manager that manages a lot of these things. And so Rosie wrote this thing. And so as I looked at it 2 days ago, I looked at this and I'm like, wow, this is some really technical stuff. And so what I'm going to try to do is you're going to kind of get a twofer in this presentation because there's some really great technical information that's inside of here. But I'm going to give you from the practicality standpoint, from my position, because I'm the CEO of the company and I need to look at things a little bit differently. I need to fly at a different altitude. She's down in the actual what's happening down here in the marketing world and the sales world, and I have to sit up top here because I have to worry about everything. I've got to worry about expenses and accounting and operations and what's the deliverables looking like, and oh my gosh, there's legal stuff going on over here, and oh, is the sales team actually doing what they're supposed to do, and all of those other things. So I have to look at it a little bit different. So I'm going to give you the practical side of what I see is happening within here. And I will tell you that I have as you can see, what you see is what you get. This is me. If you want to jump in and you want to ask me a question, you're not going to stumble me because literally all this stuff is doing for me is just giving me topics to talk about. I could talk about all this stuff in my sleep. I could talk about each one of these slides for probably days. So jump in at any time, ask questions. I'm perfectly fine to do it. So we have this thing that we work with at our business a lot. We call KPIs. I'm kind of looking at it like, oh my God. I don't really want to look at all this data. I don't want to do this stuff. I just wanted to go. And so Rosie is the queen of data. I mean, Rosie, I keep talking about Rosie, but Rosie is our marketing manager, and she just loves this data stuff. I mean, and she does. And so I just said, look, I just need you to go. You geek out on all this stuff, and that's fantastic. My ADD will not allow me to read your reports. I need you to boil it on down and come back down here at the end. And at the end of the result is you can measure anything, right? You can measure just about anything. But I want to know what are the results, and then what are we going to do with it? And that's really where the rubber meets the road for me. And so that's what I'm working for. So these are really indicators in her world and in the company's world that we use to measure marketing efforts. How are we successful at our jobs? What are we doing? What goals are we establishing from a marketing perspective? We use it across the board. I have a great executive leadership team that I work with. I've got 6 direct reports, and each one of those folks are a part of that EC. And it's my job to be the CEO, which is my job is to help to inspire them, make sure that they're the right people sitting in the right seats at that table. And I want them to come back and report out on what we do. So we do regular communication. We meet once a month. Everybody has to report out on what they're doing. And so we use a lot of this stuff in the background. Each one of those departments use those things in the background because that's the way that they can measure their success, and also that their peers can also measure the success that they're having against what's going on. And so it's a great tactic for us that we've been able to use. And it's just KPIs is the fancy word of talking about it. So, we use all kinds of great stuff, and she puts all these great things up there, but data-driven decisions. And so the goal is to turn data into information and information into insight that we can then make decisions from. That's the part that I'll leave Ms. Fiorina on, is that's the whole piece of this. Is I think data is fantastic, and it's great, and having a great CRM and all of those things are fantastic. But what the hell are you going to do with this stuff? How are you going to turn it into tangible business results? How's it going to grow your business? How are you going to make an impact on where you're going and what you're doing with your company? How are you going to pivot and change as you go? Because business is change. I mean, it's as simple as that, change or die. I mean, it really is. It's a constant evolution. I mean, I challenge any of you to go to any restaurant. Most of us will go to different restaurants as we leave here. And I can pretty much guarantee you that every single one of you can go to the restaurant, and somewhere in the restaurant they're going to be talking about what? Does anybody have any idea what? Catering. They're talking about catering. Tim, everybody's catering now. For God's sake, back in the day, it was like in the 80s, if you had a station wagon and the will to do it, you were a caterer. Now every damn restaurant in the world has become a caterer. The restaurant news is saying that something like 40% of most restaurants' revenue in the next 10 years will come from things happening outside of their doors. You think my competition's changed? How in the world do I stay relevant? We got to constantly shift and evolve and do a lot of things. But we also screw up when we do it. In some cases, we make some mistakes. And I'm going to talk about the mistakes because I really believe in failing forward. I believe in looking at something, and I don't have a problem with it. I look at fear. I have fierce conversations with my team. I encourage them to have fierce conversations. We come into those meetings and we talk about stuff that really matters. I don't want to sugarcoat it. I don't want any yes people on my thing. I want people to get mad. I want them to get passionate. I want us to talk about it, but then we commit to whatever decision we've made, and we walk out the door together unified. And it works. We'll say that it works. So we use these KPI things. We use this product called HubSpot as well. I don't know if anybody of you are familiar with it, but it's a great piece of software, and it's an automation software that is really, in essence, for us, kind of connecting our whole world. Everything from our CRM to our marketing content, what happens on our website, where does that funnel, who gets it, and all the different things that Tim was talking about, where they click and all those kind of good things. So here's our problem. I wanted to put the problem right out there so we can go. So we've had a great freaking year. Revenue is up last year. We went in from 16 to 17. We had 20% growth. Last year, 17 to 18, 18% growth. Phenomenal, right? I'm proud of it. I think it's really pretty cool. Those are good numbers. Those are phenomenal numbers. I mean, I think anytime you hit a double-digit number, you're in great shape. If you do triple-digit numbers, man, what are you doing, and how are you able to scale it? But I think anything in the double digits is great, and if you get close to 20%, my gosh, unbelievable and good for you. But one of the things that we realized, we weren't keeping our eye on one thing. Revenue was up, and so everybody's kind of looking at it that was there. But what we ended up realizing is we had a complete massive vertical that we were completely dependent upon, and nobody was focused on it anymore. Guess what it did? It went away. It literally has evaporated. And that business for us is weddings outside of our core venues. You see, for the last several years, where we've realized what we realized, and it stems all the way back to 2007, when the world basically completely shifted and it became more of a seismic change than ever in our business, we had to realize, okay, how do we remain relevant? How do we continue to drive business forward when all of a sudden there's a 35% drop in our revenues for the year? And I've got 400 families, that depend on our company for their livelihood. So what do I need? I got to fix this, and I've got to figure it out. And so I went to the thing, again, flying up at my wonderful altitude of 30,000 feet, looking down, going, wow, Warren, you're a caterer. What do you need to do? Wow, I need to find places where people have parties, and that there is an internal catering company there, and that maybe I can help support that effort, and that's what we went out to do. So we set out to find venues and develop these great partnerships, and we set up all these KPIs and all this wonderful stuff to check them out and make sure that we were connecting with these people and selling and writing contracts and making these beautiful PowerPoints and telling people about how incredible we were and everything else, and we were successful. We have 12 right now, what I would call mostly exclusive relationships. And that's where all of our eggs are. All of our eggs are in that basket. And it's phenomenal for us, and it's great, and that business has gone, and it's risen, and it's grown. And we're effective partners to there. But what we forgot about were all the preferred people. So we're one of 5 caterers, we're one of 3 caterers, we're one of 8 caterers. It's just an open freaking list. But we weren't focusing enough people and enough resources on that, and it is completely and utterly dropped off. And you know how we figured it out? We figured it out because we actually started to measure it and started looking at it. Somebody kind of said, well, you know what, wow, wait a minute, we're writing all these big old commission checks to these venues that we have these exclusive and preferred relationships with, but all of a sudden everything else is dropping off over to here. And so we started running some studies and started looking at it, and so that was how we kind of got to it. We started really studying the revenue and understanding what was there, and then it really helped us come back to the end result to realize, wow, we're missing the boat. So I'm really excited because I think that sector of our business will continue to rise this year and elevate, and now we're focusing back on the core that once was, and so who knows, maybe we'll go to like 30% growth in 2019. I don't know, that would be really exciting. At least for me it is, and so it's great. So different KPIs, you can use this stuff for anything, right? I mean, honest to God, it's just, it's stuff that's measurable. So sales revenue, we look at sales revenue from one person to another. It doesn't have to be complex, it can be really, really simple stuff. It's like, okay, I wanna go, I wanna lower my golf handicap from a 14 down to a 9 this year. Well, that's not going to happen because I don't have time for that right now. But because I realized, but if I wanted to, what would that look like? Very simple. Well, you got to go take some lessons. How many lessons do I think I need to do? Well, if I did probably one lesson every month, and then, oh, there's the practice, there's that discipline thing that comes along with it. And so maybe I got to throw that in there too, and maybe put some practice in there. And then you can almost create a metric and kind of say, well, okay, if I practice 3 times a week, and if I take a lesson a month, that's an effort for continual involvement. Wow, maybe I can set a goal for myself of maybe not going from a 14 to a 9, which I used to be, but I really want to get back there because I hate hitting crappy golf shots. Maybe what I can do is set a realistic goal of myself, maybe go from a 14 to a 12. And then I can play with Mark Hitchner and actually play like he does, because Mark Hitchner plays the golf very well, Amy's husband. So he's a good golfer. He doesn't want to play with me because I suck. But we have fun. We do laugh when we're out on the golf course, so it's good. But, set realistic goals, and then hopefully I can attain them. Yes, sir?
I just thought one of my favorite sayings I use is a goal is a dream with a plan. And a lot of
Yes.
people have a dream, and you're talking about the goal. So just for the people here, it's a dream with a plan.
Yes.
And that's what you're,
Yes. Thank you. No, please, thank you. I appreciate that. That's a great insight. That absolutely is completely relevant. The customer lifetime value, Eric talked about that. What's the value of a customer? My God, in our world, everybody, we hold them. I talk to them. I talk to the leads that come through the door, and every opportunity that you have a touch point with a client, it's like gold. It's like, our biggest account ever in the history of our company was the Ginn Corporation. Does anybody remember the Ginn Corporation, Bobby Ginn, when Bobby was here? Bobby represented, back in the day, back in the early 2000s, Bobby represented 35 to 45% of my annual revenues. God, no, I know, and that's what happened. But we loved him. We were so excited, and then he just evaporated. He went away. It was terrible, and we had to shift again and change it up. It was an incredible thing. So you look, but the reason I bring it up is the customer lifetime value. Guess where the lead came from? A regular lunch client that was doing, maybe did 10 grand a year in corporate lunches back at the office, and that admin person left there and went to work for the Ginn Corporation, turned into a multi-million-dollar annual account for us back in the day. So you had to treat everybody with really, really important stuff. So we as a company talk about that a lot, and about what the value is of the individual customer and how do we adapt to what they're looking at. Inbound marketing is one of the coolest things ever, and that's really where you just put enough stuff out there that it drives people to you. You're not even really mining for it. You're just putting it out there and, hey, I'm a source expert on X, or doing things like this is, I'm coming here and talking to you guys. I mean, ultimately this is marketing. We'll see who, maybe this turns into something. I'm not really talking about catering today, but hopefully at the end of the conversation you realize, wow, that Warren Dietel guy's pretty cool. And you may end up talking to somebody and they may say, hey, I'm having an event. And maybe you say, you know what, that guy was kind of interesting. Yeah, cool thing. You never know. Give him a call. Fatty Gaddy might. You never know. It might happen. Could happen. Jeff might. We never know. Could be good. So we'll see what it works out to. It's a KPI on that. I can do a KPI on this. Really figuring out, okay, well, how many of these presentations do I have to work at to get so many leads to go, you know what I mean? You can look at all that kind of stuff. So traffic to lead ratio, how does it all work? Landing page conversion. We do a lot of these crazy landing pages. We go in service of our customers. So these venue partners that we have, we just go into them We'll build your marketing materials for you. We'll build your websites for you. We'll build your collateral for you. We'll do everything. We'll fully integrate our services into your services to make things happen. And we do it all at whose cost? Mine. But because I'm trying to develop and build on the relationship, I think that's part of what we're trying to do with regard to that. So we'll build these landing pages, but then we can track it through the HubSpot model that we have. We can see what all that's going. Organic traffic, again, is really great. You want people to find you. We want Google. The Google spiders love that kind of stuff, right? So we build and we put stories up about parties that happen in these particular venues that really just have a little bit of a subliminal message about, oh, and by the way, Puff and Stuff catered this event. And all of a sudden, that stuff really drives up the actions that we have. And we have built our venue. If you were to ever look at our website, and it's actually a pretty cool website, so you can check it out. But it's, what's interesting about it is that our venue website looks like it's fully integrated in, but it's really not. It's a separate website, but it looks like it's the same. And what's cool is then we can track everything that happens on that site and what the relationship is. And believe it or not, there are sometimes, and let me actually back up. The story behind how that was built was really in service of the customer first. We weren't thinking of selling catering. We're thinking of where people start. So if somebody starts with, oh wow, it's Sally's birthday and we're going to throw a party and we need to find a place to have Sally's party. So they're looking for a venue first. So if people start looking for a venue, we then give them an opportunity, give them a venue recommender. They can put in, I want to be in this part of town, and I want to have this many people, and I want to have this kind of a view, and what do you got? And then we spit out recommendations to them on what's there. So we're doing multiple things. Number one, now we can also go back to our venue customers and say, hello, venue customer, we've delivered like 18 leads to you this month, just letting you know, here's the click-through rates and all those things. And so we use that. It's power. That knowledge can be used as very, very much power. Of course, social media, wears me out. Wears me out. I mean, it does absolutely wear me out, social media. It just is. It's one of those things where, you just got to be good at what you do, right? We screwed up. Hi, I'm Warren. I've screwed up. We screw up with frequency. It's as simple as that. We are in a very volatile business. We're trying to do. We sell trust every day. We say that's what we sell, and that's what we put out there. And when we fail and when we fall short, we then take responsibility for it. And so that we go and so that that's one of the ways that we try to protect the relationship and everything that we have here. All right, let's see. Mobile traffic and all that other stuff. That's all that marketing geeky stuff. Okay, this was a sheet, and I think that it's in the presentation. You got, I don't know, Jeff, if you want to go to it.
I'm going to try to do it.
And check. Yeah, there you go. Fantastic, beautifully done. So this is one of those geeky sheets that marketing uses, and really our entire team uses. This is a SMART sheet, which is a goal setting and action planning worksheet. But this is stuff that they put forth this is how they identify and how they work on these things. And so this is one of Rosie's, and so integrate the online order platform for Puff. So this is we're getting ready to do a complete e-commerce portfolio, platform for our company and putting it out there. So we're thinking about everything. And so she's got everything that's on here, identifying all of the necessary resources that we need to utilize for this. What are the potential challenges of each one of these initiatives, of those action steps that are going? When are the deadlines going to happen? Who's the support? What are the people in the life that can help with the action steps, and so on and so forth. And this is a tool that my team uses to really kind of hone in on their focus, on what they want to do. Now, in our meetings, our monthly meetings, they have 20 minutes to put this out. They have 20 minutes to basically present their department. So they're not really boiling it down to this area. So at the end of the day is, what's the result, right? That's what I'm interested in. That's fantastic that you're doing all this hard work. Thank you. Appreciate you doing your job. Now what? Now what is the big question for us? And so we talk a lot about that. All right, Jeff, let's move on to the next one. You guys can get that on there. And you can see all these different, look at her, she's so organized. Wedding lead nurturing, marketing, content, calendar, communication strategy, 2019 overall goals. God, I love it. She's on it. Everybody needs a Rosie. You cannot have her. She's very happy with us, Tim. Friends don't poach friends. Actually, I did have somebody just recently poach one of my good people, and I was really pissed. It happens. It's okay. It wasn't you. Nobody in the room. All right, so setting objectives. Again, I'm looking at this from an overall, business perspective. I'm looking, we look at, we really establish, review the business goals. Where do we want to go? What do we want to do? One of the ones that we realize we have tons of business goals, but we realize one where we have a big old gaping hole, and so that's the one that seems to be kind of getting a lot of light shined on it. But we are going to continue to talk about all of those different things. We set forth, we hired a consultant to help us with our accountability issues. Yes, we have accountability issues. In the past, we would have these wonderful meetings and talk about things, but we never really got anywhere. And even though we thought we were accountable to one another, we really weren't, because we would just come up with bullshit that we would lie to each other and just say, oh my God, we got so busy. It was so busy this month. I really didn't get to what I said I was going to do. So now we've got this outside source that we're now accountable to. It's the most beautiful thing. So now everybody shows up actually at the meetings and they're totally prepared. It's so fantastic. I just totally love it. So does it cost me money? Absolutely. But at the end, really not. I think I'm going to win as a result of it. I think it's going to help me to be better. And you know what it's going to help me be? It's going to help me be much more CEO-like, because really I am still 6. I am 6, and not on the inside, but on the outside too. You see that. You feel it, right? You feel me? So I'm still 6 on the outside. So this makes me actually pretend like I'm a real CEO. So because what my goal is I got to get my other people doing these key jobs, these key tasks that they need to do. That's what my role is. I've got to keep everybody focused on the prize and get them all winning and all pulling in the same direction and all moving together, right? So that's what we do. So consider she's got a marketing objectives, how they relate. Now let's see what other stuff here. All right. So these are some of our, on the right side, some of the specific objectives that we are really kind of talking about with regard to this problem that we've identified. So we realize that we want to increase revenue in the wedding segment. Now in our world, we're just calling it the wedding segment because when it's venue related and it's exclusive venue related, it's called exclusive venue related. So this is telling us that we're working on weddings that are outside of our exclusive arrangements, and so we're focused on that. So what do we need to do? We need to strengthen our relationships with the preferred venues that target weddings, so we want to really focus on those. We've defined something else that's not even up here. One of the things that we realized is we were going out and somebody would go, and Sam would go out and go see this venue, and hey, here's lunch, here's some beautiful French macarons and a couple of things, and then leave a brochure and some stuff, and they'd call in and they'd get into our CRM pipeline, and it's at your lead day, and you would get the lead, and it wouldn't really necessarily, we weren't penetrating as much. We never stopped the amount of marketing. The marketing for that business kind of happened. It still came through, but we weren't closing, which is what's important. Always be closing, right? That's what's important. At the end of the day, I think it's wonderful. Eric is starting to work with our team now, and part of the deal is you don't want to waste our time putting out all these proposals. We put out $15 million worth of proposals last year that didn't go anywhere. That's a waste of damn time. Let's stop that. Let's figure out how we can imagine what 10% better, if we could be, what that would mean. That's pretty great. We can do that. I think that's a realistic goal that we can do. And so we're kind of focusing on some of those things. So what we've decided on is we realize that the old tactic of just this kind of shotgun approach to these relationships doesn't work. It needs to be more rifle. And what we've decided upon is now what's going to happen is you own the relationship with the Lake Mary Event Center. It's yours. And it's very, very easy for me to hold you accountable because last year we did 12 weddings there. And this year we want how many?
40.
Oh, yes! God bless you. Yes, that would be amazing. We'd probably establish a goal, maybe 25. That would be good. That would be a good step. And if you can hit 30, I'd be elated. And we would high five. And we would probably do something really nice for you. I don't know what, but we'd do something. But that's the idea. And so we decided that we would shift the model to having somebody actually own it. We figured that was going to be a whole lot better. Because you know what? Guess what? Guess where that model has worked for us? Guess where it's proven that it has worked? All of the exclusive relationships. I had a guy, anybody know Brett Kingstone in the room? Brett Kingstone is an awesome dude, super smart guy. He's a real estate developer here in town, and he had a local business, a place called Heaven. And Heaven was an event venue that was down near the district. He since closed it because he got more value renting it out to corporate customer than he did from schlocks coming in there to do catering with it. But the interesting part about my relationship with Brett was, and I like Brett a lot, we are what I would consider, we're friends. So one day I got the courage up to go and present to Brett this whole idea of, let us be your exclusive provider. Let's come through. I mean, this pitch has worked on so many other people. We've had such great success with these things. And so we've rolled it all out, told him about the marketing campaign we're going to build for him, how we're going to drive more leads to him, how we're going to get all these successes, and we're going to drive all this great stuff. And literally at the end of the presentation, he sat there and he nodded his head the entire time. Yes, gave me all the buying signs and all the things, and I'm looking, wow, this feels really, really good. And at the end of the presentation, he looked across the table at me and he goes, Warren, I'm not going to give you the exclusive contract. And he said, but why don't you just act like you have it? Why don't you just pretend for a moment like you do? Why don't you just operate and, kind of almost in a way, he didn't say this, but I'm saying it now, exhibit the behaviors that you would if you had an exclusive contract. And so that's kind of the way that we're now going back to this story to kind of take control of these venues to gain this business back. And we're going to build, and we've also realized, because when it comes to selling is one thing, but then operating and actually delivering on it is the other, right? That's the hard part, and especially in my business, it's really freaking hard. So the hard part for my world is now we got to figure out how do we do this. And so we look at the resources that we have and realize, okay, well now we've got to hire some people. What's that going to cost? So we have to look at the cost of the hiring of the new people and bringing them on and all those things. But we are committed because we know that this is a way for us to drive significant new business, 7-figure business to our business. And so we are focused and we're willing to commit some dollars to it because it's never cheap. All right, importance of strategic and clear goals. So these are kind of this whole SMART thing. And for me, more than anything else, and you can see it in my caps here, I said basically, you decided what you wanted to do something, and now what are you going to actually do? I think it's again about taking the results that come out of all of this testing, of all of this analysis, and then really developing an action plan from it. And that SMART sheet that you have that you'll be able to download will show you that. That gives you kind of the task, how you can boil down these individual tasks and turn them into something else. It's at the core of an effective marketing plan. Frankly, my friends, it is at the core of just managing your business, period. I think it's more profound. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than marketing. It's bigger than your whole company. You have to break it down. And the other part for us is owning this stuff. I believe it was Covey that talked about beginning with the end in mind, and that's the way I live my world. I'm all about a yeah, but, okay, or yeah, but how and what is it? What's the result? What's the result that you're going to get me? I want to take this effort and I want to put this effort forth on something. Well, okay, well, what's in it for you? What's your ROI? Is it going to make your job easier long term? Are you going to close more business? What exactly are you going to do it? And ultimately, it's for us to basically, we use the data to base the decisions on the future planning. And I love this part. I hate this word. Measurable. It's so hard, right? I think it is, especially on some of the stuff that's kind of, not tangible, right? Some of it's kind of ethereal, but some of it isn't. And figuring out how you take some of that ethereal stuff and really turn it into tangible, measurable stuff that's there, and then have somebody own it, and then they can hopefully have results to your business and turn them into something. So this is the SMART matrix, and it talks about everything. You see it in there, and it's the specific goals. They've got to be measurable. You got to be achievable. That's why when you said 40, from 12 to 40, it's not really achievable, is it? It's a hard one. It's a phenomenal number if you could do it. But let's give you an achievable one, because that's like, 200%. We want to go down a little bit less. We want to make something that's actually achievable, and then maybe give you a rider, a kicker, if you go above. If you exceed 30, because, wow, you had a lofty goal and you saw the opportunity, figured out a way to do it, and so that's good. Make sure that they're relevant. I think that there are a lot of people, a lot of companies that go down a lot of roads that are just not necessary. I just think it's sometimes, some of us CEOs, we really like to hear ourselves talk. We do, and we love to lead, and we love to put the stuff out there, but just make sure it's really relevant. I mean, don't put your people through the calisthenics if it's absolutely not going to be relevant and not going to help you drive what's there. And then the time-sensitive situation, it's there. And again, that's the part that we really, really sucked the most at, was, this whole thing, because we could drag a project out forever. We just keep talking about it forever. And so now, by having this wonderful consultant, And now she holds them accountable. It's really cool. I see all these emails. How are you doing on the da-da-da project? So awesome. Be ready to present that at the next DC meeting. I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. This is so good. So good. It makes me so happy. So I don't have to do it, which is even better, right? And so it's great because I do want to play more golf and I do want to lower my handicap. Okay, so assigning KPIs. Let's see. This is talking about, again, this is more of a, it's again, just a measurement tool. I think some of this feels good. Okay, this is important. We look at different things. We look at either lagging or leading KPIs. So lagging is really what happened, what exactly happened? What are the sales results for the month? The leading is what programs are we going to put into place and what are the results that we expect out of them? That's the difference between those two, and those are very, very important as you go through. These are some of the key ones that we do, that we look at, and obviously the first one we were overlooking a little bit. We were so happy and proud of ourselves on the other one that we completely overlooked that one. So now we're looking maybe a little bit closer and having some real fierce. Have any of you guys seen the Fierce Conversations video? No? Oh my God, literally, seriously. You write one thing down, write that down. I don't remember her name, and maybe Jeff, if you can Google it. She has a book called Fierce Conversations, but the video, it's a TED Talk, and she is stupid brilliant. Just absolutely amazing, and it could be a life changer in how you run your business. And it's basically talking about having real authentic conversations with your people and why it's so important. It is critical. I should have put it up here, but it is really good, and I highly encourage you to look through that. Let's see. What else do we have here? All right, and now we get into some of the more geeky stuff again, which is all right. Geeky stuff's good. There's lots. I have Salesforce up here. We use kind of a combination of we have an internal CRM that's built into our catering software. So the way that we're approaching our business is this one, there's the nucleus. In your ERP scenario that was there, CRM was in the middle. In ours, it's called Caterees. And so it lives in there because everything resides. Yes. Yeah, it was. I get it. I know. I wasn't poo-pooing it. It's totally right. Trust me, it's at the heart of it. It's absolutely at the heart of what we're doing. So we take information, from our HubSpot really leads more of our key marketing initiatives that we have, but everything feeds into the systems. And we are working within that system a great deal on automation. We have tons of macros that are built in, everything from notifications that come up that say the customer's due date, 60 days out, they need to pay this deposit, automatically pre-filters everything in, looks totally customized. They see it on the screen before they put it through, they make the final edits, and boom, and off it goes. It makes their lives a whole lot easier and makes them more efficient, and then they don't show up to a meeting and something's forgotten, or they didn't get payment from a client, or whatever it may be. So there's lots of stuff. So there's some really cool programs that are there. Pardot is a part of Salesforce. HubSpot's another, Marketo is another one that's really more on just overall lead management, just some stuff there. Google Analytics are awesome sauce. They tell you what's going on your website. If you're not using them, you should. If you don't, talk to some people that do these types of things and look at these things so that you really understand. And really, what's relevant about that? Tim can tell you all day long. You put out these marketing campaigns, and if they're not relevant or if they're not hitting and they're not sticking, if they're not sticky, you need to come back and rejigger and reshoot something. We did something recently. It was really kind of interesting. We went off on, tried to do for the first time ever, we did this, tried to do a pay-per-click program, right? We wanted to drive pay-per-click specifically on a vertical sector of our business. We have all these beautiful party platters and lunch platters and all these different things that are out there. And it's a very distinct, more of a delivery model that we do. And so we went out to go and started investing money in this pay-per-click campaign and putting it out there. And what we realized as we did this very quickly, within a month, we realized we couldn't communicate with these people on the phone. They didn't want to talk to us. The person that was finding us through this campaign that we had developed doesn't want to speak. They want to work on text. They want to work on e-commerce. It's a different customer. It's not a wedding. It's not a bride. The person that's coming here to plan the corporate lunch in your office doesn't really want to have a wonderful rosy chat about us. I want to know how they got the assignment to actually plan this meeting. Not like a wedding, where the wedding, I'm like, I don't want to talk about everything. Let's talk about everything. Oh my God, do you guys see the colors this year? Did you see that the color is rose gold? That's what they want to talk about. And we have to deal with them completely differently, right? So we put this campaign out, started spending thousands of dollars on it, and it sucked. And it didn't suck because we were getting inbound, but we didn't know how to deal with it. It's all coming at us, and we couldn't deal with it because we wanted to talk to them. And they don't want to talk to us. And so we shut the campaign down and realized that we've got to go to e-commerce. And so we can't do this campaign until we build our e-commerce site. We changed. We evolved as we went through. This is just showing you kind of a managed venue report that kind of shows you what's happening from our websites, where the leads are going, how they're being directed, how they're being handled, who's got them, where they're all coming in. 259 leads just came in this month just from these particular locales that are there. Places like Yelp that we refuse to advertise in Yelp. It's just, I don't know, it's not for weddings and catering, but it is what it is. There's a whole long story to that. I need bourbon again for that one. So we fight them with regular. A lot of this stuff too, you can even do totally old school if you don't want to invest in it, although I recommend, like the rest of the folks that have been up here, to do it, but you can track a lot of this stuff just by general spreadsheets. Google has the shared drives, which we love those things as well. So this is really, ultimately, my friends, where the rubber kind of meets the road here, right? So this is kind of the end of the ride for me today. And it's, again, we schedule regular and consistent intervals to review the data. And we have a friend, her name's Carol Hull, that holds us accountable and meets with us every month. She does a regular follow-through, and so that we can actually derive great results from this time and effort that we're putting together instead of just telling each other what we want to hear and being able to make excuses. We are making data-driven decisions. We are looking at the data. We are taking the data and utilizing the data to make decisions that will propel the company forward and continue to help us to advance and continue to do things, because it just continues to be. I don't think we've hit a threshold in our business yet that we can stop. I think that we got a little bit more to go, and then I think maybe I'll look at things a little bit differently. I think there gets a point in a catering world with our, you look at your facilities and you look at your model and you look at everything else, and I say that now, and probably I'll always want to grow. I think I'm just totally just, I don't know, I'm trying to make something up in my head, but I don't know. I think right now we still want to grow. So we're taking the data to make really, really great things. And so there are a lot of trends that you can use through analysis as well. I also want to say that don't have analysis paralysis. God, sometimes it's just too much. And I do fight with my friend Rosie all the time. And I said, God, you just overthought the hell out of that. Just, do you really need to go that deep? Do we really? I think you got it. I think we know what we need to do. I know that you want to tell me everything down to the very granular level, but do we really need all that? Do we? Can we do it a little easier? So I kind of go with the KISS model, the keep it simple, stupid model, because I'm not real smart. So we work with that. Company or market generated data. The company piece is real important. We try to really listen to our people. We derive reports that come out from every event that happens, good, bad, ugly, and different. They come back, but what's most important is that, number one, we let them know that we actually heard them with the feedback. What did Warren do? One of the things that's the key in our world is safety, right? We have a hard business. We're out there. There's 30 trucks on the road, people everywhere, heavy equipment. We had a wonderful event last night for a great client of ours downtown. So I showed up for that one, and sitting out front, and I was on the phone and talking to some different things, and the truck was being offloaded, and they were coming down, and they were bringing down, everything comes down off the rack of the big truck, and so they're coming down, they're bringing down this big rack of linen, and it's on this, this speed rack cart that's coming down, and it comes down, and literally I just watch as the guy that's taking it down off there just topples straight back down onto the ground. I'm like, no, and so, we have to make some, and I'm looking at it, I'm going, well, wow, okay, well, we definitely need some better Z-racks with some better wheels, because somebody's going to get really hurt. This guy was able to get right back up, thank God, which is really awesome. Avoided a claim there. And, all is good. So, but we use that data and we use them there. Somebody wrote out a note about the fact that one of the trucks had some tires that probably needed to be replaced. And like I blew up on my warehouse guy. I'm like, dude, come on. We've made this has been abundantly clear. We don't, take the truck off the road, get the damn tires changed. You don't have to ask. There's no approval necessary. There's nothing. Get it done, make sure that it's safe. And so make sure that you're also listening to what's going on internally with your company, not just what the market is telling you on the outside too. Optimize your marketing processes. A lot of great people in this room here. I've known Tim for a zillion years. His company and firm, 30 years. Is it real? Wow. Yeah, that's it. Winter Park Toastmasters back in the day. And I mean, his company's phenomenal. They do great work. We just have really kind of brought it all in-house. We just have such a focus on what we do. Otherwise, I'd be totally working with his firm on a daily basis because I trust him and I believe in what he does, and he's got a great team. And it's phenomenal. So I highly recommend that you optimize those processes and take a very close look at it if you want to grow your business, or even if you want to sustain in this environment, because you certainly need to be listening, keeping your ear to the ground to understand what's going on in the market to make sure that you're making the necessary shifts, bobs, and weaves in your business to be able to do that. How's your audience engaging? Yeah. Do they like you? I think it is important. In my world, people have got to really like us. They got to like our food. They got to like our people. They got to like our experience. And if we screw up, we got to take complete responsibility for it. We had a wedding in November that went sideways, very sideways, really, really bad, really bad. It was awful. A lot of it had to do with things that were outside of our control. But ultimately, as I share with my team all the time, it's kind of like you accepted the job, right? You knew some of the stuff kind of going into it. You accepted the mission impossible envelope. As soon as it passed hands, guess what? They forget, right? You've totally forgotten that now, all of a sudden, you're now the catering company. Now me, the client, I've completely forgotten about all of those wonderful things that I said to you that, look, you can't have your guests drinking for 6 hours. They're going to get so wasted, and it's going to be a problem. You can't do it, and people are going to get arrested. And they did. And so we had all these wonderful problems that happened at these events, because weddings are amateur hour a lot of times. Very, very much you have these young kids that come in, and now they're at these events, and they're used to drinking Busch beer. They show up for these weddings. It's wonderful. They're having a great experience, and somebody's dad's paying for Grey Goose at the bar. They have no control, and they completely lose it. So this guy completely loses it at the wedding. He'll leave his name nameless. Ends up completely going hysterical. Bride's at the door trying to help this guy and crying for him. And I mean, it just was a mess, right? So then we get accused of over-serving, and we get into all these different things. And then one problem begets another, begets another, begets another, begets another. So I'm trying, immediately when we have these situations that come up, I get involved. I like to say that I affectionately deal with the high highs and the affectionate low lows. So when things go really well, I want to be up there, you did awesome. And then when they really, really suck, I got to get involved, and I go, and I'm the front guy. I'm the guy. I got to go in and I got to take it, and I take it on the chin, and I take the beating, and I go through what's there, and I figure out what we need to do, and we settle, and we try to keep them quiet, because there's that wonderful thing called social media, and I don't want them talking. So, because everybody, ultimately at the end of the day, it's a perception, right? Marketing, whatever it may be, the deliverable, what we're doing, at the end of the day, we can think we do a really, really great job, but if the customer thinks we suck, guess what we do? We suck. So you got to take responsibility for kind of what's there and understand who your audience is, how they're engaging with your company, and what they are doing. And so just take responsibility for a lot of what you're doing, and utilize this data again to make really, really good decisions for your company. Data can be your friend. Again, my ADD does not deal with it very well, but I will tell you that it is a powerful, powerful tool that you can employ in your business, whether it's simple, whether you have a resource, big thing, it's all good. All right, that's it. Questions? Thank you. Jeffrey.
Yes. You have invested last 5 years into a manufacturing facility.
Yeah.
And at great risk, but what do you feel, or how do you feel that has differentiated you and prepared you for the downturn, for example?
Well, I think that, what Jeff's speaking, I thought he was speaking about something else, but I know what he's speaking about. So our commissaries that we have both in Orlando and Tampa are unbelievable. They're some of the finest, honestly, in the country. And they are, I started with my team. Started with the team. I wanted to provide a good, safe, healthy environment for them that they're going to enjoy working in, that is large enough for us to be able to deliver training and to bring everyone in. We feed them lunch every day. All of those types of things help us to bring, create raving fans within our team and keep them there. We built it for the future. We built it to be able to handle. We built it beyond our current needs initially just so that we could be successful. We knew we had room to grow. And then it opens up opportunities for us to look at all kinds of different things. I can't even tell you all the different interesting projects that we're currently working on that are a little bit outside of our niche, and we've opened that up so that we can do that. So the answer is we're always looking for opportunities, and by having these facilities, we're able to be a bit more nimble to go after different sectors and different types of business. Thank you. Yes, sir.
This is a very complex, food industry is very complex. Is there somebody you're counting on in your corporation that is in charge of safety, food safety?
Oh, absolutely. Is someone in charge of food safety? And the answer is absolutely. Well, number one, we have massive processes in place. Do they get followed every single day? No. We had another instance several years ago where we had a massive problem with undercooked chicken on a major event. It was a major, major, major issue for us, and it could have resulted in a significant lawsuit.
You can end up in jail too.
Yes, you can. One of the things that ended up saving us from that was because of our process and because we have documentation. We have documentation, number one, about how things were supposed to be done, about temperature probing things and utilizing those to go. The challenge that we were faced with in this situation was that it's not an excuse, an explanation. We ended up having to, the original location for the temporary kitchen was relocated out to the parking lot. The building didn't like propane ovens being anywhere near to their building. There were no lights. It was a busy night. We couldn't get lights to them. They were trying to do things a lot by touch, the lights of a truck. It was just, catering's commando, my friends. You're in the battle. There's no do-overs on these things. And so they put it out there, and I think that we learned something very valuable that day. It was a buffet dinner, and there were chicken breasts that were done in our processes. We cook the chicken to about 20-30%. We sear it off, put it in the thing, and then it gets warmed up and brought up to temperature on site. The chicken on the outer edges, when he temped it and probed it, were perfectly fine. But when he probed the inside, the middle, he didn't probe the middle. He only probed the outside, and so that's why he thought it was cooked. So the long and the short of it is we have a solid process that's in place. It is documented. It is trained. In addition to that, we even have what we call road notes for every single item that we prepare that goes along. So our system, again, being at the core of everything that's there, there's an item. So the item is this champagne chicken, if you will. When we run a report called road notes for that specific event, for every piece of food that's going on in that event, it spits out what you need to do with that food when you're on site. How do you handle it if you have an oven? If you don't have an oven, how do you handle it if you just have a hot box? If you have a small oven, if you have a big oven, if you have a customer's oven, how does it work? We think about all of those things so that it's out there, so there's a resource. So at the end of the day, from a corporate standpoint and a compliance standpoint, we were kind of sort of covered. We were able to deflect this into becoming something that was really serious and really bad. And it was corrected on site. No one even, other than, the sad part, it was the bridal family that was first served, as they always are. And so they were the ones who realized that the chicken was undercooked. And so it's a rare situation. It's been years. And chicken's, my friends, chicken's volatile as hell. Chicken's so hard. A rare situation. Good catch. Yeah, no, it's crazy because chicken's one of those things. For those of you who cook, chicken's one of two different things. It's either usually undercooked or overcooked. It's either leather or it's just a little bit, and so it's really hard. It's a caterer, and the difference with catering and restaurants, if you think about it, you go to Hillstone, which I love. I think it's a great place. Hillstone will probably do 500-600 covers in a night. Well, I have an event tonight in Tampa for 600 people, and that 600 covers or 500 covers that they'll do in the night is done over, let's say, like a 9-hour service period. When all of those 600 plates come out in my world, all of them come out at once. We have to have the plates down, all 600, 15 minutes, get the room served. Hard, different, it's science. So we look at everything. We have ServSafe certified, we go through things, and we do a lot of training. Thank you, great question. Brandon.
How you doing, Warren?
I'm great, buddy. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Data. Question about data. How do you use it and filter it down to, I know you use it with your management and executives,
yes,
but your production staff, how do you use it to motivate them for increased productivity?
Brandon, we did a great question. We utilize that data. That is all about what you do with it after the fact. And I'd be happy to show you more, to show you, that example that I gave you of the road notes is a perfect example of it. We realized thank God we had done that process even in advance of that, so we had a defense to it. But for the most part, it's our job to make sure that the team understands what's expected of them and what's out there on the job. So again, by listening to them, listening to the data that comes through, all their feedback from the jobs, acting on those things, and just taking, it's different for every department. I mean, whether it's sales, operations, linen department, whatever it may be, it's constant. How do assets get moved? How do assets get packed on the trucks? We utilize it for absolutely everything. Do you cluster all the glassware together on the load because of the type of load that's there, or do you actually break it down by bar because you've got 5 bars to set up, and so that it's easier when you get on site, and then you can say this is bar 1, bar 2, bar 3, bar 4, bar 5, and then all the equipment goes out. And so we take the data and utilize it in that way and try to make really, really smart decisions. So, I mean, we could speak for days about how we take the data and employ it. But that's why I say that's the most important part. That's the part that I really am passionate about within the team, of pushing them down and utilizing this stuff to actually drive change within the organization and true operational guidance within the operation. Yeah.
Awesome.
Anything more? Good?
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you, brother.
You are the best.
Thank you.